All right, I was thinking today and I realized that I hadn't made a video this week, so I figured that I needed to get one done. As always, I'm going to start off with what I'm carrying today. Today I'm carrying an Emerson Mini A100. This knife is a 2009 version. I ordered this We the People clip when I ordered my 2017 version. They just did a run maybe a month or a month and a half back. This knife is in pretty good shape. It is a partially serrated blade. As I said, it was made in 2009. I did not necessarily want a partially serrated blade, but at the time that I bought this, which ironically enough was a week before the drop of the new ones, you pretty much have to get what you can get if you don't catch a drop, and they don't do a drop too often. So I'm carrying this blade here. This is one of Emerson's earlier designs. I usually carry something a little bit more traditional, but I feel as though this is a good mix of traditional and modern. So this is what I'm carrying today. Now we're gonna roll the intro. Okay, I had a request over the summer to show off my entire slip joint collection. Recently I've let a few go, but I do still have majority of them. I'm just gonna do one box of them today, or do my best to get through one box of them today. I don't want to do more than that because I think the video will get too long and drawn out and boring. So these are gonna be my smaller to mid-size knives. I've got them split up into two different boxes at the moment. One of them is small to medium, which is this box. The other is medium to large, which is my second box. So I'm gonna sit this off to the side, and as you can see here, if I stop knocking stuff over, you can see how I've got them laid out. They go from here, which are 25s, on up and around to the larger knives, and then I've got a few loose ones here. So I'm just gonna progress through and around the box one at a time. The first knife that I'm gonna pull out, and obviously these are gonna be the smallest. This is my, the name just slipped my mind. This is my Northwoods Little Bay, Northwoods Little Bay, which is built on the 25 pattern. This one is in burlap micarta, and it has a clip point blade. This is one of Mike Latham's SFOs. This is a 25, GEC 25, made in 2017, red saw cut bone, spear point blade. This is the polished Stag 25, also Mike Latham Collector's Knives SFO. This one here, all of the SFOs have satin blades. This is the Desert Ironwood 25, also Mike Latham SFO, spear point satin blade. And last but not least is the burlap regular 25 by GEC, spear point blade, satin finish. So that is all 5 of my GECs that I currently own on the 25 pattern. And actually, I'm just gonna slide these off to the side. I'm not gonna take time to close them up and put them back in the box. Now, I'm gonna move on to this knife here, which is a TC Barlow. This is the number 14, which was called the Lick Creek in general. As you can see, it's a pattern production premiere. It was made in 2016. This one here, I can't remember the color of the bone. Dark chestnut saw cut, maybe? I'm not sure. But this is a one of the 14s that I own. And this is the second 14 that I own. This one is a regular production, smooth white bone. Well, actually, I think this is an SFO from Gunstock Jack, actually. I apologize. I didn't make any notes. This is all from the top of my head, guys. This one is a smooth white bone, 2 blade, number 14 Lick Creek. So you can see it's got a spear blade here and it's got a pin blade on the other side. This knife was also made in 2016. So those are my two GEC 14s. Next up, I'm gonna get into a knife I was just very lucky to come across. And I think, as a matter of fact, I know you guys have seen this one before. This is my GEC 33 whittler. And this knife was made in 2013, I believe, if I'm not wrong. Clip point main blade, sheep's foot, secondary, one of them. And on the other one is a pin blade. And like I said, yeah, that 13 there means it was made in 2013. So this is my GEC 33 whittler in jigged blood red bone. This is a number 66 Bullwinkle knife. This knife was actually a gift from my buddy Palamine 2110. He has an Instagram account by that name, and he has a YouTube account by that name. So if you haven't checked his page out, go check him out, go subscribe, like his videos. This knife here, it's a moose because it has, and I don't know if that'll show up, but you can kind of sort of see the Bullwinkle character right there. And some of you guys might be old enough to know this character, some of you might not. But it's called a moose because it's got two full-size blades on either end. It's the 66 pattern. This one is a numbered knife. It is number 9 of, I believe, 25. This wood is Barlow. The two blades ride on two different springs. And I believe that this knife was made in, let's see. This knife was made in 2012. So the last two knives that I showed you are fairly old knives. So that's it right there. 2012. Spear main on this side and a clip point on this side. Long pulls on both blades, polished. So this one is of the nicer of the finishes. Here, I know everyone's seen this knife if you follow my Instagram. This is also a 66, and to keep with what I did with everything else, I'll keep every knife I have in that pattern out here. So that's a 66 right here. This is another 66. This 66 has 3 blades. This one is a Stockman pattern, but this one is known as the calf roper. It has a clip main blade with a nail nick. There is a sheep's foot secondary blade, also nail nick. All blades have satin finishes. I've gone over this knife before, so I'm going to go kind of fast. And then here you have a spay blade with a nail nick and a satin finish. This knife was built in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check that real quick. I'm pretty certain it was. Yeah, here we go. This knife was built, and all of the other 66s I'll show you were built in 2017. This one is in Titiute trim with the green micarta handles, as you can see, and this new oval shield, which everyone was excited to see, and I think a lot of people wanted to see beat out the hot dog shield, but we see with the upcoming run of knives that the hot dog shield is going to be back on the 78s. This is a special factory order. This was a production knife, by the way. This was a production knife also. This here is a special factory order from DLT Trading. This knife is in desert ironwood. And again, it's the same exact blade configuration, so I'm not going to pull everything out. Nail nick, satin finish. You can see I haven't even used this one. It's been sitting in the box. Good knife. It's another 66. And this is my final 66. And I actually picked this one up from Smoky Mountain Knife Works when I happened to be up in Tennessee this summer. So this knife here has polished and pinched bolsters, ringed as well. It has a propeller shield. It also has the same Stockman style blade pattern. And this is jigged dark chestnut bone. So this is an SFO as well. Fairly limited. I believe they had some the last time I checked, and I believe that's just because not a lot of people were aware of the knife. If you call in Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and if you call in, I believe that they'll sell you one. They're not listed on the website, or at least they weren't when they came out. So those are all of my 66s. Now I'm going to show you my TC15. This is the Blade Forms knife. Honestly, I have not carried this knife just because everybody else has theirs and they're carrying theirs. So I get kind of tired of seeing the same pictures. So I've been planning on carrying this one, but it's just sat to the side because everybody has one of these knives and everybody is posting their pictures up. But anyway, this one is a natural canvas micarta. This was voted on the Blade Forums traditional knives and fixed blade sub forum. It has the matte or satin finish bolsters with the TC stamp, and it's lined. It has a sheep's foot blade. I also believe that was voted on. I could be wrong. But the main thing that drew a lot of people to this knife is this natural canvas. Lots and lots and lots of people wanted TCs with natural canvas, and they had not come out, but now we do have one. This here, this is a run by Charlie Campagna and SFO. This is the Peach Seed Jig Bone TC Barlow. I believe this was the one from last year, 2016. Yeah, I believe that's showing 2016. Nice knife, very nice knife. Same size, which is a 15, which if you're familiar with TC Barlows, in general, the pattern that TCs come out on are the 15 pattern, which is more of a smaller size knife. Here, this is also a TC. This is what is called the Ancient Barlow, and it has what's considered a lamb's foot blade. Very nice swedges here. You can see it looks like it's been aged, and that's because they didn't finish this blade a lot. They wanted it to look ancient. So you can see down here by the tang, there's a lot of that slag kind of left over. Very nice knife. I believe this one was built in 2015. Let's see. Yeah, 2015. So this is the 2015 TC Barlow on the 15 pattern. Still pulling more 15s out, bear with me. This is a 15 crown lifter, and I'm not really sure what the color of this bone is. I would have to pull out the tube, but it's jig bone. I think it's antique yellow, or I believe it's antique yellow. I could be wrong, but there is a cap lifter / screwdriver with a nail nick, and the primary blade is a clip point blade that says, oh, I'm sorry, this is not a crown lifter. This is a radio jack. So apparently, the way I understand this story, knives that were similar to this were given away with radios back, I'm guessing in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, around that time frame. So this is a knife kind of built in that that history. This knife came out in 2013. So fairly sought after knife. You still see them pop up from time to time, but it's not something you see everywhere all the time. This one here is this is one of the original GEC Scout knives. This one was dubbed the Soda Scout. There was a run, there were several people who had runs that were labeled Beer Scout. However, there was an SFO under the with just Scout on there, and if I'm not mistaken, the Scout ones, the Soda Scouts, were from Mike Latham at Collector Knives. This knife here is in natural linen micarta, is what the tube says. However, it appears to be more of a paper micarta, kind of like Westinghouse type stuff. Sheep's foot blade, and again you have a crown lifter, cap lifter, and I believe this knife was made in 2015. Yes, 2015. So that's yet another 15. So those are all the 15s right there. I'm going to move these to the side to make room for the next knife. I promise I don't have as many of each pattern. left to go, and we're coming to the end here. Like I said, I didn't want to do all of them at once. I know everybody wanted to see them, but I felt like that would be kind of a boring video. This is a Northwoods. Oh man, the name slips my mind. This here is a Northwoods. Oh man, I'm gonna forget. I'll have to add it down below after I get done. This one here is an older Northwoods knife. It's from one of the later runs of the knife. Great knife, very good in both positions. This is what is considered a dog leg jack because of the leg here, what looks like a leg. And I just remembered the name. This is a Burnside jack. This is a Northwoods Burnside jack. This, I'm not sure if this is what they consider calico bone or if it's smooth white. I think because it has that kind of stippled yellow and orangish color in there, I believe this is what they consider calico bone. But you can see this nice spear tip blade. You don't see this knife a lot. This knife rarely comes up. Usually when it comes up, it's in blue. I believe this one was built on the 57 pattern. They did have a 58 pattern, but I believe the knife came out of this end on that knife. But I believe this one was the 57 pattern. So not 56, but the 57. Again, if I'm wrong, correct me. Burnside jack, Northwoods knives. This one here is one that I was lucky to come across. As you can see, this number 2 here. If you have time, get on Great Eastern Cutlery's website and look at the pattern 78s, which I'll show you. This one is 76. The pattern 76. This one was built in 2012. If you notice on the website, and I did not know this when I bought this knife, this is actually the knife they took for the model picture on the Great Eastern Cutlery website. I was lucky to get this knife at a good price. Like new, in tube, polished blade, long pull, clip point blade main, and it has a pin secondary. This is considered a gun scout jack. Again, both of the blades are accessible from the front. Kind of that similar sway back or dog leg design of the Burnside jack that I just showed you. This is jigged bone. I think this is antique amber jig bone, if I'm not mistaken. Unexcelled shield, great knife, pretty fairly difficult to come by. Lucky enough to pick this one up like new. Next knife up is the Northwoods Bear Lake, and this one is in red linen micarta, spear point blade. Kind of a drop on the spear point tip. It's got that rustic finish at the top. Here you can see it a little bit better. This actually is not built on a current pattern that GEC is making, which is kind of unique. Usually the new Northwoods knives, the ones that have been produced by GEC for Derek Bond at Knife Ship Free, usually they run the Northwoods knives on the same frames as the Great Eastern Cutlery knives, and they run them side by side. So for example, when this knife was coming out of the factory, they also did a run of the corresponding Great Eastern Cutlery version beside it. So this one does not have a Great Eastern Cutlery equivalent. This one is a unique pattern to Northwoods knives. And again, this is the Bear Lake in red linen micarta, single blade spear point. This one started off as a kind of a weird knife. I won't say a one-off, but a weird knife. This was the Blade Forms knife. They did the Blade Forms in the jig bone. They also had some that were special factory order in this. I don't remember if this is African Blackwood or if it's Gabon Ebony, but either way, it is one or the other. You've got a bar shield instead of a hot dog shield. This is the 35 pattern. 2 blades, 1 single spring. You guys know that they're coming out with the 35 again this year. This is the number 10 harness jack. If you follow Charlie Campagna's knives, you know he also does a run of harness jacks. On the other side, there is a punch or an awl. And you can see that this knife was produced in 2016. And as I said, there are more 35s that are about to come out. The calf pin jack, calf pin, 35 calf pin. The farm and field knife has already come out in all the covers. The regular version, I believe, is next up to be produced. I do have one of those on reserve in smooth yellow rose bone. So this is the 35 by Great Eastern Cutlery. Here we have a, this is a Northfield Barlow, which is Mike Latham's stamp, kind of like the TC is Charlie Campagna's. This stamp here is Mike Latham's. So this is the 2-blade 77 Barlow in smooth white bone. I had several of these. I wish I still had them. This here is a sheep's foot blade secondary. This is a spear primary blade, main blade. And I believe, yeah, this knife was made in 2015, which is kind of strange. Usually he does a run of these every single year, but this year I did not see a run come out. Well, it's not that I didn't see it. They didn't do a run, which was kind of a shame. I really like this size knife. This is getting into that medium size knife. Good strong pulls. I think you could hear that when I opened and closed it. If not, and you can see how that blade kind of springs forward at the half stop. That's a good strong spring. Here, this is also built on the 77 frame. This is a Washington jack, clip point blade Washington jack. They did several of these. They did clip points, they did spear points. They did some with punches for the harness jack. This one here has a clip point main. This has a pin blade secondary, and this knife was made in 2014. Like this knife a lot. Again, this is a knife that I've owned several of. The snap's not as good on this one, but two excellent knives, excellent size as well. I'm gonna leave this one here just for demonstration purposes. The next knife I bring out, I'm gonna want to compare it to. This knife here is a, and I'm probably gonna mess the name of this one up too. I really should have made a list out, but like I said, I just did this one off of the top of my head. This one here is a Northwoods Michigan jack, and it's in mammoth ivory. You can see there those nice colors, thousands and thousands of years old. I believe, yeah, right here it looks like a crack, but that's been there the whole time I've owned it. It's never spread. Great material. I really like this mammoth stuff. Like I said, Michigan jack. It's got that kind of modified sheep's foot, worn cliff style blade with the heat treat scale still left at the top. This one was made by GEC for Derek Bond of Knives Ship Free. And the reason why I kept this knife out is to show you the side by side. This is what I was talking about. These knives are usually run side by side. This is a 77 size knife. This is a 77 pattern knife. So you can see here that even though these knives are different and they are wearing different branding, they are the same frame, shape, and size from Great Eastern Cutlery. So Michigan jack from Northwoods, Northwoods, and this is the Northfield Barlow from Mike Latham. And finally, I'm just going to kind of throw these out here. These were just some knives that I picked up. My dad, he really wanted an older style slip joint, so I came up on a deal for two Kabars, two identical Kabars like this. I sharpened them up. I'm not exactly sure what model they are, not exactly sure what year they're from. Not exactly sure what wood this is. I guess it's walnut or something like that. I'm not a wood expert, but brass on the top and bottom bolsters, or front and back, however you want to say it. But like I said, just a cheap little Kabar knife made in the USA. I have one, my dad has one, so this is more of just a keepsake type knife. My dad does have one and he does carry his. Here we have another Kabar knife. Again, I'm not really certain of the year. I'm not really certain of the exact model name, but this is a Scout style knife. You know, with the can opener, the screwdriver, the cap, the crown lifter, you know, that primary blade, and an awl. So this would be a knife. Actually, my first knife was a Boy Scouts knife. It was my father's knife. I can't find it. So I wanted to pick up another one. One of my buddies gave me or sold me this one at a pretty good price. I wish this was bone here, but this is not actually bone. This is actually Darylin or plastic, but it's still pretty nice. So that is my small to medium collection. As I said, this was already going on 25 minutes. That's why I really didn't think I wanted to do all the knives at once. But I'll get around to doing the second box at some time. Hope you guys enjoyed this first video. If I said anything wrong or you have any questions, please mention it down below. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a great Sunday and be safe. Talk to you soon.